Welcome back, freedom lovers. Today's date, November 18th, 2024. One of the main reasons why I got into this, well, not only is it fun, but it's my way of showing others how real the Matrix is. And I use that quote quite often, that the Matrix is real. And if we can't see it, or if we don't know of it, or we just can't see the battlefield, then it's extremely difficult to be able to not only escape the Matrix, but to combat it and to fight it. So it's important to stay informed and stay up to date with current things. It shows the motives and intentions that the globalists have, the New World Order, or whatever you want to call it, our handlers. I feel the more information that I can bring to you and show you on some of these topics, the more we'll understand the battlefield, we'll understand the battle. We can counter it, come up with our own solutions, maybe a little insight into some of my convictions and maybe even some of my incentives as to why I like to stay informed on a lot of these topics. Going right into it, our very first topic is Biden, still in office, or allegedly, authorized the use of those long-range missiles into Russia. And Russia has already warned, if you do this, then this is a fight with NATO, and we're going to start striking NATO targets.
So Joe Biden's authorization for Ukraine to use these powerful long-range American weapons inside Russia. And the decision appears to come in response to Russia bringing in North Korean troops, 10,000 of them, in fact. We are looking, though, at a new sheriff in town. During the campaign, President-elect Trump said he would put a speedy end to this war. He didn't explain how, but he made that promise. So what do you think that means?
They will be talking about options of how to end this war, but not to the satisfaction of Zelensky for sure, or to the Ukrainians who've lost territory. But almost 1 million people, if not more, have been killed in this war over the last few years. So I think the end is in sight.
I don't think anybody wants this, as much as it seems like it's fear mongering. I did say that there's going to be an event. And I also know that they're not going to give up power without a fight, and they're not going to just cede the power over to the next administration without causing some sort of massive ruckus to make sure they stay in power. They, as in the arms dealers, the globalists, the people who are the shadow government, the deep state, like I said, whatever you want to call it, they're trying to maintain a foothold in their agenda. So I think this is important for them to keep the war going. President Trump already came out and he wants to see an absolute ceasefire. We'll start with that. Here, take a listen to this.
We have never been closer to World War III than we are today under Joe Biden. A global conflict between nuclear-armed powers would mean death and destruction on a scale unmatched in human history. It would be nuclear Armageddon. Nothing is more important than avoiding that nightmare. We will avoid it, but we need new leadership. Every day this proxy battle in Ukraine continues, we risk global war. We must be absolutely clear that our objective is to immediately have a total cessation of hostilities. All shooting has to stop. This is the central issue. We need peace without delay. In addition, there must also be a complete commitment to dismantling the entire globalist neocon establishment that is perpetually dragging us into endless wars, pretending to fight for freedom and democracy abroad, while they turn us into a third world country and a third world dictatorship right here at home. The State Department, the defense bureaucracy, the intelligence services, and all of the rest need to be completely overhauled and reconstituted to fire the deep staters and put America first. We have to put America first.
you need to see the agenda here. Right from the beginning, I was completely against this on this one topic. This is why I supported Russia in their cause, because, well, NATO's out of control. It's just ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I'm not even exactly sure what to say. I'm going to show you a couple more clips as to why I feel like this war even began in the first place. I truly hope this isn't the event that I was thinking possibly could happen. Nobody wants this. This would be detrimental to the entire world. And they keep pushing us closer and closer. It would be great, right, to dump this all on him. We definitely can't have this. As I would love to go into like full-on detail as to why I think the whole thing began in the first place, I'm not going to go too heavy into it, but I am going to play you a couple clips that I feel are relevant to this. Use your own critical thinking on this, but what I do want to add to it is that it's an absolute corrupt system. So can you see why they fear a Trump administration? Because he wants a ceasefire. He does not want escalation of the war. And the globalists, the shadow government, wants to keep it going pretty much for the rest of our lives, especially if they push us into actual escalation of a nuclear war. No sides win on this, but well, except for the arms dealers, they always win. It would be very convenient for them to dump all this on him or to push us into it before he takes office. Imagine having literally a couple months left in your administration and you do stuff like this. It's like, come on, man, what is going on? But it just exposes the matrix. It exposes the agenda. We, the people, need to continue to talk about it and bring light to it, because this is the only way we're going to deter this. If the people around the world knew the backstory or the details as to what's going on, they'd see the writing on the wall, I think. And that's where I like to come in and do this stuff, because I want to bring awareness to it. So here's a clip of Vivek even stating the same thing. Like him or not, he's in the administration now, and he does wield power. So from the horse's mouth, here's a clip.
So now we know what we should have known all along, which was that this virus, COVID, began in a lab. It is a shame that it took us to get as long as it did to get to this answer clearly. You want to know why? They used the threat of racism to suppress any iota of debate. 2 years ago, people ought to remember this right now. If we don't learn from our history, we will never get better. Big tech companies censored, mark my words, censored someone from being able to say online that this virus originated in a lab. Okay, this was in the name of preventing the spread of misinformation. What did we do? We actually created the spread of more misinformation. We have to learn from our history, or else we're going to keep making the same mistakes. Free speech is a precondition for truth, and we got this one wrong. But it's not just enough to look backwards. Going forward, as U.S. President, I'm committing to deliver accountability for the origin of the COVID-19 pandemic. Anything else is not an option, or we can expect even worse from the CCP in the future. And you mark my words, I think we need to use every financial lever in our arsenal to do it. As your president, I commit to doing that, including but not limited to even looking at the national debt of the U.S. that they hold as an option. Sanctions on CCP officials, and even criminal investigations into U.S. government officials who knowingly evaded a federal ban on gain-of-function research to fund it abroad instead, in the name of preventing a global pandemic, may have very well contributed to creating one, and then used private companies through the back door to censor scrutiny and dissent. This is what makes our founding fathers roll over in their graves, but it's not just time to complain about it. It is finally time to deliver solutions, and you have my commitment that I will.
So there you have it. It was made in the lab. Who let it out? Who knows? Maybe we will get to the bottom of that. And one thing plays into the other, and I'm going to just jump into the next kind of topic, which is censorship. They don't want you to have the truth. Once again, this is what's going to keep us in the matrix. They want you to have skewed information. if you don't know the real narrative, if you don't know the real motive, then how are you supposed to know what side you're on? These are things actually that I knew about a long time ago. And as Vivek said, they have skewed the information. You got banned. All sorts of stuff would happen to you online if you tried to discuss that. That's why it's so important to keep our freedom of speech going. They want to control the narrative. We have to keep fighting. We have to keep putting out our own videos. We have to keep having the discussion, keep doing our own journalist work, do our absolute best to keep the information flowing. And that brings me into my next discussion. They tried to actually shut down InfoWars just recently. The Onion tried buying it up, and I think it was unsuccessful because of the way they went about it. It was very shady. They lost on that front, at least for now. So keep up the good work, keep up the due diligence. Just to play you a small clip of that, Alex Jones himself. Take a listen.
I just got word 15 minutes ago that my lawyers and folks met with the U.S. trustee over our bankruptcy this morning, and they said they're shutting us down even without a court order. This morning, the Connecticut Democrats with the Onion newspaper bought us. They asked, did they outbid? They said, well, it was competitive. So they changed all the bidding rules, made it secret 2 days ago. I had a bad feeling. I told you that. And just like they tried to shut us down back in late May without a court order, they're supposed to have a court order. There's going to be injunctions filed. I'm about to go live out of Harrison's American Journal studio. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to be here until they come in here and turn the lights off. I'm going to say, where's your court order? So this is all going down right now. They want to silence the American people, but we're not going to be silenced. Be sure and follow me at the Alex Jones Network at AJN Live on X right now. They're filed in court to take real Alex Jones away. That's totally unconstitutional. The judge already said no, so they filed in other courts.
This is why they continue to attack free speech, the First Amendment. They don't want you to have the proper information. They don't want you to know what they're really up to. It's so important to warfare. It's so vital to have the narrative under wrap. Another main reason why I do this is to expose the lies, expose the matrix, expose the enemy, really. And if we don't know who our enemy is, then we're already losing. It's important to expose these people, their agenda. This is how we escape and fight the matrix. You have to know the truth. Moving forward into our next clip, I'm just going to keep going with these. I want you to see how blatant the lies are, why I've formed my own opinions and convictions long ago. I was becoming very aware of, as I say, the enemy. This is why I've chosen the path that I have, because I just knew. I knew, and I couldn't follow along.
Here are the undeniable facts. There are 25 to 30 U.S.-funded biolabs in Ukraine. According to the U.S. government, these biolabs are conducting research on dangerous pathogens. Ukraine is in an active war zone with widespread bombing, artillery, and shelling, and these facilities, even in the best of circumstances, could easily be compromised and release these deadly pathogens. Now, like COVID, these pathogens know no borders. If they are inadvertently or purposely breached or compromised, they will quickly spread all throughout Europe, the United States, and the rest of the world, causing untold suffering and death. So in order to protect the American people, the people of Europe, the people around the world, these labs need to be shut down immediately, and the pathogens that they hold need to be destroyed. Instead of trying to cover this up, the Biden-Harris administration needs to work with Russia, Ukraine, NATO, the UN to immediately implement a ceasefire for all military action in the vicinity of these labs until they're secured and these pathogens are destroyed. Now, in addition to all this, the U.S. funds around 300 biolabs around the world who are engaging in dangerous research, including gain of function, similar to the lab in Wuhan, where COVID-19 may have originated from. Now, after realizing how dangerous and vulnerable these labs are, they should have all been shut down 2 years ago, but they haven't. Now, this is not a partisan political issue. The administration and Congress need to act now for the health and well-being of every American. and every person on this planet.
Okay, so there you have it. One of the other reasons why they're going to block as much as they can the team that he's assembled. And just with that alone, that makes me take my hat off to Tulsi Gabbard. She's telling the absolute truth. This is things that I learned about years ago. And right when the Ukrainian war broke out, some stated that it was actually Putin trying to end some of these bio research labs. If I'm not mistaken, that was actually some of the first targets he hit because it was unacceptable. There's actually been quite a few stories that broke out in the news about unknown viruses surrounding the towns that these biolabs are in. And you can look that up. If I get a chance at some point, I'll look them up and I'll air them. But right now, I'm just going to try to stay on topic. As she states, over 300 biolabs around the world, similar to Wuhan, who are involved with gain of function, which, by the way, I'm almost certain is completely illegal. But we do what we want, right? Not just us, but the globalists, the agenda. So why isn't this been taken care of? Who knows? Who knows? I know, but it's so deep and corrupt. It has to end. It really has to end. It really does. And this is why they're going to fight him tooth and nail, because it may just come. This may be the turning point that we've all been waiting for. Whether you may or may not know of this stuff, it's pretty vital, as you can kind of draw the conclusion that this stuff isn't safe. But what are they doing? Why are they doing this? For what? Just in case one of these viruses come out of nowhere, which nothing like that happens unless you're building them and releasing them on your own. So super shady stuff, wicked shady. But as you can see, it is definitely being, sort of addressed in some aspect. The people that are going to take office are aware of it. They're speaking of it, which this is great. This is great stuff. Moving to the next video.
We have a minute left. Let me ask you, does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Ukraine has biological research facilities, which, in fact, we are now quite concerned Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach.
I'm sure you're aware that the Russian propaganda groups are already putting out there all kinds of information about how they've uncovered a plot by the Ukrainians to release biological weapons in the country and with NATO's coordination. If there's a biological or chemical weapon incident or attack inside of Ukraine, is there any doubt in your mind that 100% it would be the Russians that would be behind it?
There is no doubt in my mind, Senator, and it is classic Russian technique to blame on the other guy what they're planning to do themselves.
Last question.
So it's the Hungarian dialect. Problem, reaction, solution. And when you control all of those, you're in complete control. You're in complete power. You know how much money they made off the vaccines for the COVID? Astronomical. These companies have grown so big and powerful. All this stuff has to come to an end. And this is partly why I've been so against vaccines since day one. You will not meet someone who's more of an anti-vaxxer than me. And I can say that with confidence because they've been meddling in this research and such for a very, very, very long time. But anyway, I digress. Let's go into just a couple quick clips into some of that and how they've lied about the narrative. And you'll see why they're going to fight tooth and nail to block the people he's picking. I'm going to continue to try to bring a couple things into their character as I find them, but here's a clip of the new attorney general that they've chosen and what he has to say.
I think our voters expect us to have a fighting spirit. If we win this majority back in the House and we don't do what Senator Kennedy demanded, and that is to, get to the bottom of these investigations and deliver wins for our people, then shame on us. And I have a message for anybody that's looking to hire Tony Fauci to be the CEO of their pharmaceutical company or their university president. Don't plan on him being available for work too often, because Jim Jordan and I are going to have him before the House of Representatives answering questions. And I sure hope he doesn't plan to retire in my beautiful Florida like so many people do. I think he ought to retire where he can be closer to his work in Wuhan, China.
They can't have people like this actually fighting for the people. This is literally the Rebel Alliance. I've been waiting for Tony Fauci to sit on trial forever, literally since day one of this whole debacle that went down. And they're actually gonna hold his feet to the fire on this. And I can't wait for that. I really can't wait. It's truly an information war. If they lose the narrative, then they lose the war completely. Hillary Clinton said it herself in my last clip, and that's true. That's absolutely true. So they're going to fight us tooth and nail on all of these things. With that said, so as you can imagine, my thoughts on him picking Matt Gaetz is epic. I can't wait to get all these guys in office. I really can't. I want to see justice served. And hopefully we're going to have it. It seems that our day is coming, but once again, they're not going to do it without a fight. I hope it's not a World War III fight, because that would just be so insane. But they're showing you that they don't care. They absolutely don't care. They will literally blow the damn world up before they relinquish power. That is very, very dangerous. That's why things have to change. They have to. We have to take the power back. And it just goes to show how deep-rooted they really are. But I digress. Just flowing into the next topic here, but about the vaccines. So this is with Tucker Carlson. Take a listen.
Jury in Michigan just awarded a woman fired for not taking the vax millions of dollars. And I hope that is a nationwide trend, where everyone whose life was destroyed in that fit of lies and hysteria is made whole. I really hope so. And I do hope that Congress can immediately strip the blanket immunity from the vaccine makers. I don't understand that. I've sold products my whole life. I mean, imagine you have a product, you convince politicians to force the population to buy your product, anyone who complains gets fired, and you can't be sued. I'm sorry. And I'm not attacking vaccines, by the way. I'm sure there are fine vaccines. I don't know. I'm not taking any of them, but it's okay if other people do. I'm not mad about people taking vaccines. I'm not mad about vaccines. But that's a scam. And anyone who says it's not a scam can just explain to me how it's not a scam. How is that not a scam? You're not allowed to sue? You can sue anybody for anything in this country. Anything. It's why we don't have playgrounds anymore. Because people made remember merry-go-rounds? Remember those? Is anyone old enough to remember a merry-go-round? They don't exist. They were awesome. I have like 10 friends who have fewer teeth than they were born with because of merry-go-rounds. But they have stronger spirits because they were great. They don't exist anymore because the trial bar decided we're going to get rich suing merry-go-round makers and people who were nice enough to build playgrounds. So like so many good things in American life have been eliminated by the greed of the trial bar. By the way, next time in the Caribbean, go down to the yacht basin, wherever you are, it doesn't matter what island you are, and look at the biggest boats and just ask like the boat guys and the matching polo shirts with the yacht names on them, like, what does the owner of this boat do for a living? And just keep a list of how many of them are trial lawyers. Like a lot. It was the tobacco settlement or asbestos or whatever. It was talcum powder or whatever case they were. And I'm not attacking all lawyers, though I want to, because I do hate them with a passion. But even if I liked lawyers, I would say, how is it that there's this one category that's exempt from the risk that all the rest of us who are involved in any kind of business face I have liability insurance on my house in case the UPS guy slips delivering a package from Amazon. But somehow Albert Bourla and all the other creepy billionaires who run these disgusting pharma companies are in no danger of being sued because their corrupt pals in Congress in 1986 gave them blanket immunity? Like, let's tear that down immediately. Oh, well, we can't compete. Well, why don't you just make a safer vaccine then? How's that sound? Why don't you face the same risk that every other person who conducts any other kind of commerce or lives in this country faces every single day? Oh, we can't. Oh, shut up. Go away. And so that's the first thing. I don't even know how I got off on that, but I'm so mad about it. It's so crazy. And that no one can say anything about it. And it's like, oh, you're against science. No, I'm not against science at all. I wish we practiced it in this country. I do. I actually believe in science. And if, by the way, if you believe in science, let's see the numbers. Let's see the numbers right now. You know what I mean? Social Security has the numbers. We know a lot about who was injured, who took it, who didn't, about the trials that are all sealed. Like, I'll just say this and I'll stop. If you want to restore honesty to government, if you want to get rid of corruption, there's a very simple way to do that, and it's with transparency. It's allowing people to know what their government is doing with their money in their name. And if you can't know, if somehow you're being prevented from knowing, then you can be absolutely certain that crimes are being committed. Because why else would they be hiding it from you?
This is part of the matrix, is to see the walls they built and the cage, really, the cage. Back in the 80s, the politicians signed a bill, the Senate signed a bill giving complete immunity to these vaccine companies. This is, as I've seen this way the whole time. Like, that's just straight corruption. If you can't be held liable, then you can do whatever you want. Imagine a child who has zero accountability and can just do whatever he wants without any repercussion. What kind of adult would this kid grow up to be? So I just don't get it. I don't understand how we even allowed it to happen, nor do I understand how it's stayed intact this whole time. But I think that, once again, these days are numbered now, and if you want to see real change, we have to dissolve certain laws like that where it gives immunity to companies. It's the only one of its kind. It's in its own category, and no one can do this. No other company can do this. So it's time we strip that power away from them. And maybe that'll give you a little insight as to why I'm so anti-vax, because they can do whatever they want with immunity. But good for that family to get awarded a settlement. But it's damage is done. Doesn't matter. I don't care how much money you get. What price tag do you put on it? What price tag do you put on your health? There is none, for me anyway. Moving right along into the next clip.
For many years, I was saying not one of the 72 vaccines mandated for children has ever been safety tested in pre-licensing placebo-controlled trials, not one. Tony Fauci was saying he's lying. In 2016, President Trump appointed me to run a vaccine safety commission, and he ordered Fauci and Collins to meet with me with White House counsel present. And I said to Fauci at that meeting, you say I'm lying. For 8 years, you've been saying I'm lying about this. Show me the study. And he said, I don't have it here. It's back in Bethesda. And I'll send it to you. I never got it. So I sued him. Me and Aaron Siri, and after stonewalling us for a year, their lawyers met us on the courthouse steps and said, yep, you're right. We never had any study. And they gave it to us in writing. You can go to the CHD website, my website, and you can see that letter from HHS. There's no downstream liability. There's no front-end safety testing. That saves them $250 million. And there's no marketing and advertising costs, because the federal government is ordering them to ordering 78 million school kids to take that vaccine every year. What better product could you have? And so there was a gold rush to add all these new vaccines to the schedule that we don't need. Most of these vaccines are unnecessary. Many of them are for diseases that are not even casually contagious. It was a gold rush, because if you get onto that schedule, the recommended schedule, it's $1 billion a year for your company. And in many cases, NIH is bearing the royalties. So we got all of these new vaccines, 72 shots, 16 vaccines, and now even more because we're doing the HPV vaccine. And that year, 1989, we saw an explosion in chronic disease in American children. The neurological diseases suddenly exploded in 1989. ADD, ADHD, sleep disorders, language delays, ASD, autism, Tourette syndrome, tics, narcolepsy. These are all things that I never heard of. Autism went from 1 in 10,000 in my generation, according to the CDC data, to 1 in every 34 kids today.
So I'm giving you guys just a little insight, as I wanted to, with the team that he built and why they fear these guys so much. Robert F. Kennedy alone is going to be in position to essentially change the entire country, if not the world. It's going to set precedents for big changes to happen, especially if these companies are held liable. But here's just a quick clip of them talking about Robert F. Kennedy.
If you live a simple, clean lifestyle, then they're not going to make as much money, and they're not going to have as much power in Washington and throughout the rest of the country. It's really about power, isn't it?
Well, it's about power and raw economic incentive. And as much as we can suggest that it's simple, it's not easy, and it's not easy by design. And in fact, it's called structural violence. And it's this collaboration of this toxic quartet, if you will, of the way big farming proliferates these cheap toxic calories. Big food picks up those calories, and they tinker with it a bit more with their food scientists to make it more addictive, to make it omnipresent. Then Big Pharma catches us on the other side and starts treating all of our sicknesses with all their diseases. And we won't even touch on big insurance and how they play a role because there isn't enough time. But the bottom line is, look at the world. It's this simple. Infertility, highest ever. Early onset cancer diagnosis up 79% over the last 3 decades. 74% of adults in America are overweight and obese. We need change. We need it now. What they're doing isn't working, and it's not working on purpose because it's profitable for the very few. And it's bankrupting Americans. It's the number one cause of bankruptcy is a health-related condition, and it's killing them. If you're afraid of RFK, you've lost your mind. Take a back seat, let the professionals in this space handle it, and thank God when it starts improving. Period.
Something I used to say a long time ago, they want us weak, dumb, and sick. And maybe with enough information that I show you, I'll do my best to just keep bringing this up. You'll start to understand the matrix and, once again, how to avoid it, how to fight it, and escape it. And a lot of it is to do with our health, the choices that we make on a day-to-day, the access to clean food, clean water, clean air. A long time ago, I used to wonder, like, where is this all leading? And now I feel like we've hit that point now where I'm seeing it. You're seeing it's important to have an uninformed, sick populace to basically control. It's so easy. If you're too busy being sick and battling illnesses, then you'll never stand up and fight. Well, maybe you will, but I mean, like, the odds go way down if you're too preoccupied spending out your money, your resources, your time into trying to get better or just trying to hang on to whatever, like, health you have left. So I feel like that's important, and that's why I've chosen my path. This is why I've chosen this, the path of holistics. It's what got me into yoga. It all led up to this when I was looking for not only an escape, but how to combat it. What can I do to help clean up my body? And once again, it just led me to yoga, or at least one of the facets. It's important to know what you're putting into your body. And if we don't have access to this stuff and we don't have access to the information, you can't make these informed decisions. You don't know what to do. You just go about your day-to-day thinking everything's going to be okay, never questioning drinking water from the tap. Going into my next clip about some of just cleaning up the water. And this is huge. This is absolutely huge. They say there's no research that has been done on it, but I know there has been. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Rome who was actually fluoridating their water as well when they added the aqueducts. It just helps keep, you stupid. And don't take my word for it. Listen to this clip.
23.5 million views. Let me just read your tweet back to you. On January 20th, the Trump White House will advise all U.S. water systems to remove fluoride from public water, period. Fluoride is an industrial waste associated with arthritis, bone fractures, bone cancer, IQ loss, neurodevelopmental disorders, and thyroid disease. I mean, that just caused, 23.5 million people thought it was pretty great. The news media hated it. Is that part of what you're talking about?
It's interesting because there was a case that was handed down on October 4th on fluoride, and it was an Obama-appointed judge, federal judge. And it was brought to challenge EPA for never having done safety studies. Fluoride was put in the water.
No way.
Yeah, fluoride was put in the water in the 1940s. And it was put in the water to stop tooth decay.
Yes.
But now it's recognized that most of our mouthwashes and toothpastes have fluoride in them, and you don't need fluoride in the water. And it's a very inefficient way of preventing tooth decay because you're getting it in people's blood. And as it turns out, fluoride is very, very dangerous. It causes IQ loss. We know, they haven't done a lot of studies that they should have done, but there are extensive studies that show if you put fluoride in water at double the rate that EPA now allows, that is in all of our water systems that use it in this country, that it causes dramatic IQ loss in children and particularly in unborn fetuses. It also causes bone cancer, and we had an explosion of bone cancer beginning in the 1940s. It causes arthritis, and it causes the deterioration of bones, bone fractures, and it causes thyroid injuries. It also calcifies the pineal gland of the human brain, which is the part of our brain that actually creates our spiritual feelings. And so it's just something, it's something that that you wouldn't want in a water supply. And it's it's going to have to be taken out anyway because of this court case. But, it's one of the easiest things you can do to start restoring American health is just get the fluoride out of the water. You're going to have higher IQ children. You're going to have less bone cancer.
You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's so crazy. And when do we say enough is enough? But I'm so happy that, and this is where my enthusiasm comes from, because I've been fighting some of these things for a long time. I knew about fluoride in the water, and I make sure I get non-fluorinated toothpaste and everything. It's literally poison. And here we are. I used to be a conspiracy theorist, but apparently I was just an informed citizen. This is why I've stayed away from a lot of these things. This is why I continue to stay away from the jabs, the shots, all medicine, really, at this point. I'm not on any medication, nor do I ever think I ever will be. It's because they've been poisoning us for a long time, and they've known about it. They say there's no research that's been done. Well, okay, so even more reason to not trust the science, especially if they say it's settled. First off, no such thing as settled science. Science is always changing, along with technology. Wow. Just wow. So thank the gods for connecting me into source and to have seen a lot of these things early on, because, it can be absolutely detrimental to your health. Something as innocent as, I said, just drinking from the tap or drinking things from, it doesn't even have to be at your tap. Like, a lot of people go out. I'm from Massachusetts, and America runs on Dunkin' over here. So hardcore. There's a Dunkin' on every corner, and a lot of these places are using tap water. So if you get a coffee every day, you're drinking tap water. You're drinking fluorinated water, along with all sorts of other chemicals that are in there. But we'll get into all that. But, well, if you're worried about it, I would just completely cut it out. Make your own coffee at home or do whatever you have to do. But this is important to combat the matrix and to escape it. If you have, as RFK said, which is so awesome that he even said it, but your pineal gland is essentially connected to spirituality. This is your third eye. This is the Ajna chakra. And this is why it's so important to block it, calcify it, because then you don't have true sight. You can't see the battlefield. The battle has been going on for so long. And the fact that it's actually coming into politics now is such a breath of fresh air. This is why I'm so excited about the team. I can't believe this. I never imagined that this was going to be on the forefront of politics. And I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited to see change. This was things that I just did on my own. I did it on my own to avoid the fluoride.
Who is running the country? Well, it's certainly not the president or vice president in name, right? You give people a title. So the dirtiest secret in American politics, I said it before, I'll say it again, is that the people we elect to run the government, they're not the ones who actually run the government. It is a machine. It is a Leviathan. Somebody brought up Hobbes earlier. It is a machine that's bigger than the sum of any individual part. It's like a bad, nightmarish version of the San Antonio Spurs, okay? It doesn't matter who Greg Pop puts in. The machine still runs. And so it's this amalgam of special interests on the outside working with unelected bureaucrats who were never elected to their positions and, according to traditional views of government, can't even be fired by the people who were actually elected to run the government. And so I think the way to fix this is who's running the country? It is that machine that's running the country. We're not up against a candidate. We're running against that machine.
But this is a huge win for humanity in my book. With that said, moving along to the next clip.
President Trump wrote on Twitter, "Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life." Don't let it dominate your life?
In terms of responding to a comment like that, it's gross.
It's okay to be afraid of COVID, and it's okay that it's dominating your life.
Everyone should be afraid of COVID.
You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free.
I can't come in, Mom. It's because of this flu thing.
We won't be free of this pandemic until we listen to the acknowledged truth. Listen to the scientists.
Science is truth.
You know, science is truth.
What is the impact to public health when people are openly questioning the science?
Now is the time to do what you're told.
By not hearing the truth, by not listening to the scientists, they are prolonging how bad the economy will be.
When I see somebody out in the world who's not wearing a mask, I instantly think you are a threat, or you are selfish, or you are a COVID denier, and you definitely haven't been vaccinated.
Either wear a mask or get the fuck out.
What does this have? Are you vaccinated?
I am triple vaccinated.
So why are you wearing a mask?
Seek out the scientists and listen to their advice.
Listen to scientists. Listen to the scientists.
Trust the experts.
We're going to trust science. We're going to trust the experts. Parents who say, well, I need to do my own research, makes you think of that cartoon I saw of the tombstone that said, I did my own research.
Republicans have given their voters license to believe whatever they want to believe.
Heard somebody saying, listen to the scientists. Do that.
Let's listen to the scientists.
That phrase, do your own research, it's popping up a lot in conversations about coronavirus and about COVID vaccines. Doing your own research, it seems so innocent, but it can have serious consequences. Renee, what are the roots of this phrase? I feel like I used to hear it around QAnon craziness.
Tase somebody over a mask. Tasing this lady over not wearing a damn mask.
If some jerk exposed my mother to COVID because they didn't want to wear a mask, I would want to kill them.
We can watch the experts, but we shouldn't be listening to Trump, a non-medical professional.
Well, the answer is listen to Bill Gates. Bill's right about a lot of things, and he's a steep learning curve in global health.
And we're really seeing just how important it is to follow science.
Yes, exactly. And we need to listen to scientists.
The idea that people are questioning the science behind the vaccine.
The science checks out. Even if you don't believe in the science, you think you're tough enough and you're healthy enough and you're young enough. The scientists were right all along. Eventually, the science catches up with you.
Are we doing more harm than good by questioning the science behind J&J?
Trust that vaccine.
Trust the experts. Listen to the medical experts. Trust the experts. If you don't understand the science, you don't know what you're fighting. Just let the experts speak.
So maybe you should just shut up right now.
You don't want to take advice from your golf buddy or from your aunt. You want to listen to the scientists.
Can we all stop saying, I need to do my own research?
You see the ultimate effects of what happens when you don't listen to the scientists.
This isn't about being scared. This is about scaring us straight.
Science, science, and science. Only listen to the scientist.
If we follow the science, imagine, instead of staying locked up in their rooms, they're able to hug their grandchildren. This isn't about freedom. It's about freedom for your neighbors.
You can give each other a hug as long as everyone is fully vaccinated.
Listen to the scientists like the rest of us.
We have to listen to the scientists.
We'll listen to the scientists.
Every scientist, every expert, listen to the experts.
Listen to the science because the science works. Very much. Yeah.
I think trust science.
We can't ever forget what they have done to us and how the media lies. And I'm just going to keep reiterating that because I still believe the propaganda will always continue forever. I can be hopeful and just be like, yeah, I hope someday they really put a crackdown and end to this. Maybe this new administration will. That would be unbelievable. But until then, please do your own research and make your own informed decisions. Use critical thinking because we're at war. I've been saying that for so long. We've been at war for so long, but now people are starting to see it. I truly believe that. People are now awakening to the matrix. This is how we escape it. This is how we combat it. This is the only way, and you have to know the truth. And never forget what they've done to us. It was only 4 years ago, and it's still going. So as you can see, the significance of this team, the X-Men, whatever you want to call them, the Avengers, I truly believe that these people are looking for our best interest because they're railing on the topics that keep us bound to the matrix, the topics that keep us in our cage, making us sick. This is so important, guys. I can't stress it enough. Such a breath of fresh air, as long as we're not in World War III. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll keep doing my best to bring you up to date on all these things. Even just taking a couple of days off. So much stuff goes on. Each day, each hour. It's a New York minute out there. I'll leave you on a good note. And I want to show you one of the best clips I've seen in a long time. I believe she's one of the youngest women in the parliament over there. And it was just it literally brought tears to my eyes seeing this clip. It just goes to show that not only me, I'm not the only one, but like as much as I feel like I'm the only one at times, but people are taking action. People are standing up to the corrupt governments, to the corrupt shadow government, to the globalists, to the lizard people, whatever you want to call them. It's a breath of fresh air. I can't put any other words to it. It's really amazing.
A party vote's been called for.
Mr. Speaker.
A party vote has been called for. There's a process here.
New Zealand National.
49 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party of Aotearoa New Zealand.
15 votes opposed.
ACT New Zealand.
11 votes in favour.
New Zealand First.
8 votes in favour.
Te Pāti Māori.
E ono ngā pōti, 6 votes opposed.
No, The House is suspended until the ringing of the bells. The gallery is to be cleared.
So there you have it, folks. The Matrix is real. It's all around us. We just have to have the eyes and the third eye to be able to see it. And when you can see it, you can start seeing the battlefield. Then you can start deciding on what you want to do as an individual, whether you want to escape it, whether you want to fight it, buck the system, join the Rebel Alliance. The future is literally in our hands. And if you don't believe so, just at least understand that your future is in your hands with your decisions, with what you decide to do, whether it's start to eat cleaner, stay away from the fluoride, maybe you want to start a podcast just to rail against the New World Order or to try to deter World War III. It'll be in your hands now. And this is the importance of this. So thank you all so very much for watching. If you want to help our channel, please like and subscribe. Maybe share this with a friend. If you have a podcast yourself and you maybe you want to have me on there, or vice versa, if you want to come on here, reach out to me, leave us a comment, or just get in touch with me direct. But I just want to thank each and every one of you for supporting us, watching us, getting the truth out there, listening to my rants. We don't exist without you, so thank you all so very much. Have a great day, and keep up the good fight.
This is where we hold them! This is where we fight! This is where they die! And these shields, boys! Remember this day, man, for it will be yours for all time!